Just ahead on CTV News. Leaders in the county are pushing for more affordable child care options.
I'm hopeful that these package of legislations will pass, that we will be able to move forward towards universal child care here in Prince George's County.
And U.S. Senators Chris Van Hollen and Angela Alsobrooks visit the town of Bladensburg to highlight violence prevention initiatives. Plus, Attorney General Anthony Brown announces a major lawsuit.
A few blocks from where we're standing, the Trump administration has been holding human beings in conditions that shock the conscience.
These stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, this is CTV News for March 10th. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Anaya Falcon. Thanks so much for joining us. Prince George's County leaders are pushing a new plan aimed at making child care more affordable and accessible. County Council Chair Crystal Oriatha introduced what she calls a roadmap to universal child care today. The legislative package includes a child care navigator position, a $500,000 loan program to help child care centers, and a scholarship program that could provide up to $3,000 a year for some families with young children.
What we are trying to do here today is comprehensive legislation that looks at what the providers need to get up and running so we can create more seats here in Prince George's County, what the parents need to make it affordable. We want to look at what are the regulations around zoning. We want to look at scholarship opportunities. We want to look at how to fund those resources. And then we want to look at those long-term solutions around our task force, the roadmap to universal child care.
I have been unable to find child care calls that can work within my budget. You're talking about a lot of child cares are charging $375 a week. That's about $1,500. If you are a single mom, how do I fit that into my other finances?
And one part of the roadmap to universal child care plan would create a $5,000 use and occupancy permit fee for businesses like liquor stores and firearm retailers. Those funds will go toward youth programs, child care services, and other community needs.
Meanwhile, at the state level, Maryland lawmakers are pushing forward a package of bills aimed at making child care more affordable and accessible for working families as well. Supporters say the effort is key to helping parents stay in the workforce while strengthening the state's economy. State leaders say thousands of Maryland families rely on affordable child care just to keep working, and without it, many parents wouldn't be able to hold a job.
Thousands of families in our state depend on affordable child care, and we all depend on them having it. It is the right thing to do. To operate with accountability and efficiency, the system must prioritize those in greatest need and be financially sustainable.
And the legislation is part of a broader push during this year's legislative session to address affordability for Maryland families. Well, federal lawmakers are making huge investments that give back to the youth in the county. Take a look.
Has everyone got them?
Federal lawmakers are directing more than $2.3 million in funding to community programs in Prince George's County.
You know, you've heard already that there are challenging things happening in our country, but then we look at our kids and we are reminded that they have so many of the solutions to all of these issues, and so we are working hard to build a future that they will be proud of.
U.S. Senators Angela Alsobrooks and Chris Van Hollen, along with Congressman Glenn Ivey, visited the Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center in Greenbelt Monday afternoon to announce nearly $1.8 million for renovations at the Greenbelt Youth Center and the Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center. City leaders say the upgrades will help expand after-school and summer programs for local students.
As the community has grown with new residents in Greenbelt Station and all around in the city of Greenbelt, this money is right on time.
It's kind of emotional because I have been here for a while, and to see the community come out the way it has, to see the leadership is still there, and know that we're being awarded much needed money to expand is just, it's a beautiful situation.
Later in the afternoon, The delegation traveled to Bladensburg Town Hall to announce another $450,000 for community-based violence prevention programs. The funding will help launch 2 initiatives aimed at engaging at-risk youth, including a boxing mentorship program and an educational video gaming program designed to keep young people connected to positive activities.
These are grants that come out of the Department of Justice as part of a violence prevention strategy. You know, we all know the enforcement part, but really we've failed if we're relying on enforcement alone. The whole idea here is to provide young people with opportunities and sort of structured after school opportunities so that they can get the support and mentorship they need.
A former D.C. police officer is accused of drugging and sexually assaulting women he met on dating apps. Timothy Valentine of Fort Washington allegedly targeted women during dates in Alexandria, Prince George's County, and Tacoma Park.
Police say the women would drink alcohol during the dates, and once they became incapacitated, Valentine allegedly sexually assaulted them. Investigators say they've identified at least 11 potential victims so far. Detectives also found dozens of videos on Valentine's cell phone showing sex acts with women who appeared intoxicated or unable to consent.
Preliminary investigation revealed the suspect met the women he targeted on dating apps or in person. During a date, the survivor would consume alcohol, and once incapacitated, the suspect would sexually assault her.
These allegations are extremely serious and involve conduct that causes profound harm to victims and communities. Sexual assault, as you've heard before from the Commonwealth's attorney, is a violent and personal crime that profoundly impacts victims and oftentimes results in long-term emotional and physical effects.
And Valentine faces charges including rape, abduction, and altering drinks.
And police say the investigation is ongoing and are asking any additional victims to contact investigators.
And Maryland's Attorney General is taking federal immigration officials to court over conditions inside a Baltimore detention facility. Attorney General Anthony Brown has filed a federal lawsuit against ICE and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, accusing the agencies of refusing to turn over records related to conditions at a holding facility inside the George H. Fallon Federal Building. The Attorney General's office says it's investigating whether detainees were held in dangerous and unsanitary conditions, including overcrowding, limited access to food, water, and medical care.
Every person in government custody deserves and has a right to basic human dignity. And this office has both the right and the responsibility to investigate when that dignity is denied. The Trump administration has decided that those rights don't apply here in Baltimore and that they don't have to answer for their conduct. They are wrong. Marylanders' constitutional rights are non-negotiable.
And the lawsuit seeks a court order requiring federal officials to turn over the documents as the state continues its civil rights investigation. And meanwhile, a group of sheriffs from Maryland are urging lawmakers to require local police to cooperate with federal immigration authorities. The sheriffs traveled to Washington, D.C. to support a federal bill that will require sanctuary jurisdictions to work with ICE. They say stronger coordination between local and federal officials is important for public safety. The push comes as some lawmakers in Maryland have moved to limit how much local police can work with federal immigration authorities.
Some Maryland school districts are racing to meet a new minimum pay requirement for teachers. Under the state's education reform, the blueprint for Maryland's future, school systems must raise starting teacher salaries to at least $60,000 by July. But according to a new report, about half of the state's districts have not yet hit that threshold. State officials say many systems are working to boost pay through new contracts and budget adjustments. The salary requirement is part of a broader effort to recruit and retain more teachers in Maryland classrooms. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Anaya Falcon. Still to come, The County Council recognized 2 important organizations today.
From fighting poverty to keeping the public safe, we'll have those details after the break. Stay with us.
This is a journey no family ever expects to take.
Yes, look.
I know because my family has been where you are now. In our hardest moments, we found there was a whole community of support waiting for us. So please, let this house remind you how loved you are and how strong you are. With all our love, from one Ronald McDonald House family who stayed to another.
Today, the Prince George's County Council presented United Communities Against Poverty, also known as UCAP, with a proclamation. The organization provides emergency services such as food and housing to people in need. Council members Shayla Adams Stafford and Jolene Ivy presented the award and thanked the nonprofit for what they do in the community. Rashida Jamison is the president and CEO of UCAP and was honored to be recognized.
It feels good to be seen. So a lot of times when you work in nonprofit services, because we're boots on the ground, sometimes we feel as if we are the invisible support. But for us to be around going on 61 years and celebrating 60 years this year, it feels good to be not only received but noticed by those whom we admire and respect, such as the County Council.
And Jamison says they want to continue to do the work so people in the community have what they need.
And the council also presented the Prince George's County Crime Solvers with a proclamation today. Recognized for their 4 decades of hard work when it comes to solving crimes, Chairman of the board Joe Alto thanked the community for coming forward to provide tips. He also thanked those and had crucial tips to solving crimes. He estimates their organization has helped to close more than 75% of their cases.
The community has been very helpful. We can't do it without them. The tips are anonymous. They come in, we process them, and hand them to the right person, and hopefully we solve the crime. And in many cases, and in most cases, we do.
And Crime Solvers in Prince George's County was founded in 1980. And again, if you have any details for a crime, you can call 1-866-411-TIPS and remain anonymous.
Bowie State University surpassed a major financial goal. The school raised $128.5 million through its BSU Bold campaign. Dozens gathered at the Dionne Warwick Theater on campus yesterday for the celebration. Back in 2021, the school launched the campaign with a goal of raising $50 million. Officials say the money is important because it largely goes towards student scholarships. Several of the donors were on hand for the celebration.
So we were grappling over the scholarship, obviously, when we had a discussion about how the $25 million would be spent. And we said, hey, let's just make sure we truly understand that we have to make a significant investment if we really want the next generation of leaders to have resources available to them that are going to remove the barriers, if you will. The financial barrier was one of the biggest barriers, one of the largest barriers that we heard on our listening tour. And so our scholarship for every student is $7,000 per year.
Philanthropist Mackenzie Scott donated a generous $75 million to the school.
And Governor Wes Moore and First Lady Dawn Moore traveled this past weekend to Selma, Alabama to commemorate the 61st anniversary of Bloody Sunday. Bloody Sunday was a peaceful march in 1965 demanding voting rights for African Americans that led to 600 people being beat and tear gassed by law enforcement. Governor Moore marched on the Edmund Pettus Bridge alongside Reverend Al Sharpton and Martin Luther King III and gave the keynote address at the historic Tabernacle Baptist Church. The governor also received a key to the city of Selma from Mayor Johnny Moss III.
Grilled, baked, steamed, or raw, however you like them, we got them. Governor Moore announced yesterday a historic year for oyster reproduction in Maryland waters. And according to the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, the concentration of new oysters in 2025 was nearly 6 times higher than average and the second highest ever recorded in the 41-year modern history of the state's annual fall oyster survey. A key driver to the state's fishing industry, oyster harvesting has brought an average of more than $18 million annually over the past 5 years.
Well, have you ever seen race cars roaring past the U.S. Capitol and the Washington Monument? Well, it's actually going to happen. Officials have now unveiled the route for the Freedom 250 Grand Prix race through downtown D.C. this summer. Organizers say the race will send Indy car drivers speeding up to 190 miles per hour through a 1.7-mile street course around the National Mall. The race will start and finish on 3rd Street in front of the Capitol. Officials say drivers will compete about 100 laps, and more than 1 million spectators can watch this race in person during the America 250 celebrations in August.
It's racing at speeds close to 200 miles an hour down Pennsylvania Avenue, Constitution Avenue, and Independence Avenue. What a thrill.
The fun thing about a street course race is about exploring. That's what makes it kind of fun, is you can go around to all sorts of areas. I think just to be here on the lawn would be a great spot, but you don't need to be in one location. It's about going around, seeing the festivities. That's what it is, a festival type atmosphere. So you can watch cars in multiple sections. You don't need to be fixed in one area. And then I think that's really what DC lends itself to, right? Is you should be walking around, exploring, eating food, seeing the museums, and this race can just be an extension of that experience. So, find a spot anywhere and then feel free to move around.
And the race is scheduled for August 23rd. Officials say tickets will be free through an online lottery beginning April 1st. And still to come on CTV News.
Dr. Hack is back, and she's joining us today to talk about green flags at the doctor's office.
Stay with us.
From the beginning, America has depended on the courage and resilience of those who serve in our armed forces. For 250 years, they've been there for us without fail, putting their lives on the line, defending our freedom, helping us become the nation we are today. At Wounded Warrior Project, our mission honors the past by building a better future for post-9/11 veterans, service members, and their families. Our life-changing programs and services help warriors improve their mental and physical health, access the VA benefits they've earned, and connect with their communities, their purpose, and each other. Warriors have given us their best. Join us in supporting them through the next 250 years of strength, resilience, and recovery. Visit woundedwarriorproject.org/USA. Right now, our world feels divided, but out here, we have so much in common. We fish the same waters, roam the same fields, raise families under the same open sky. Out here, there's no left or right. We all share a love of wildlife and wild places. But now, the animals we love and the lands we treasure are threatened, gone, unless we defend them. This isn't about right or wrong. It's about standing together. Because up to 1 million species face extinction unless we unite and act to save them. We are their last line of defense. We are defenders of wildlife. Join us as we band together to protect our wildlife and wild places. Because in our love for what we share, we are closer than you think. Be a wildlife defender. Learn more at defenders.org.
Welcome back. Whether you're looking for a new primary care provider or dealing with a new diagnosis, finding a healthcare provider can be tricky and sometimes overwhelming.
That's right. Insurance and availability are just a couple of factors that can make setting a doctor's appointment difficult. But once in that hot seat or exam, how can patients determine they've made the right choice? Well, joining us to discuss some green flags when getting to know a doctor or a new doctor seeking health care is Dr. Stephanie Hack. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So we talked a little bit about, trying to find new health care can be really difficult. But what are some green flags when it comes to finding someone that is trustworthy when it comes to finding healthcare providers?
Yes. So one of the very first things when you develop that relationship is feeling like feeling comfortable. You know, we often downplay your kind of instinct, but you know, sometimes you walk into a situation and you're like, okay, this feels good. And then sometimes you walk into a situation and you're like, this feels bad. So when you first meet and interact with your healthcare provider, just an overall instinct of like the atmosphere and the person that it feels good, that's a good first sign.
Yeah, and you just talked about instinct there. Speaking of medical exams in particular, how can people know when something's normal and when something just isn't right?
That is a great question. I talk about that a lot. So one of the first things to know is, does this exam seem necessary? And there are some very obvious ways an exam doesn't seem necessary. Like if you say, hey, my throat is hurting, and someone's like, well, you're gonna need a breast exam. Well, that doesn't seem necessary, right? That's pretty easy. If you ever have a question, you can always ask, oh, what is the purpose of this exam? You know, that is one thing that is really helpful.
Yeah, and talk a little bit more about the questions that people can ask, you know, if they are feeling uncomfortable. So what are some of those questions that they can ask to kind of get more of a feel of their healthcare provider?
So along those lines, you can also ask what exams are necessary at a visit, so you know ahead of time, and so you can kind of build yourself up for what to expect. And once you're comfortable asking the questions, you can also say, okay, why is this exam necessary? And sometimes we feel like, oh, it's challenging to ask your doctor a question, but they're really there to be a partner in your health care. So that's something else that you could ask. Other things would be options. What are all my options? I think that's such a great question, because then it gives you an opportunity to talk about many different things and further partner in your decision-making process.
Yeah, and you're talking about the importance of using your voice.
Yes.
So what role does consent play in healthcare visits?
Oh, it is so important. So especially when we get to the exam portion of the visit, like when the doctor's asking you questions, you can kind of make a decision, do I want to answer this or not? Or answer truthfully, right? Like we want you to answer truthfully. That's an easy decision to make. But when it's time for the exam, sometimes people feel like, well, I came to the doctor with this complaint, so now I'm just here and I have to do whatever they say. That's not true. We have to receive your permission to touch your body. With consent, sometimes it's very obvious, it's given, like, yes, you can do an exam, but sometimes that could look something like, I'm about to do a pelvic exam, and then just pausing to give you a chance to say, okay, and get into position, or to say, no, I don't want that.
And let's talk a little bit about going to the gynecologist for young women who, you know, it may be their first time going there. What should they realistically expect?
Yeah, it can be very scary at the beginning. And even as we get older sometimes, if you're going in for something you've never seen the doctor for before. So when you go to the doctor, you should expect to have a period of time where you're sitting down, where the doctor introduces themselves, and then you are sitting and answering some questions about your medical history. And sometimes even those can feel kind of invasive or personal, but the personal history matters. You should expect someone to take your vital signs, like your temperature, your blood pressure, your weight. And then at the end of the visit, you should expect an exam that relates to whatever you're there for, and then a discussion with your doctor about your visit and things to expect moving forward.
And you talked to us about the anxious feeling that patients feel. As a doctor, do you oftentimes, feel awkward as well, perhaps, when dealing with it?
Yeah, that's great, because that gives me a chance to talk about something I didn't mention before, but chaperones. Many people don't know that you can have a chaperone at the doctor. Many OBGYNs or doctors who do personal, very kind of invasive exams or sensitive exams, we have chaperones because sometimes we want everyone to feel comfortable, and we can feel a little anxious too. So yeah, sometimes we do, because we really want you to feel comfortable.
Yeah, wow, very enlightening. Thank you so much, Dr. Hack. We appreciate it. And for more information on women's health and Dr. Hack's podcast, visit ladypartsdoctor.com. And stick around, sports fans. It's almost time for our Tuesday sports page.
And I hear we have some surprising football news. You don't want to miss it. Simon, what's going on in sports today?
Stay right there, everybody, because coming right up, my Washington Commanders bolstered their roster during the NFL free agency period. Find out who the newest members of the Burgundy and Gold are after the break.
We see champions everywhere we look. In every sport, on every court, We're building a foundation to ensure all athletes are safe, supported, and strengthened. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, we're shifting sport culture because every athlete deserves to compete free from abuse.
Hey there, everybody. It's finally time for your Tuesday Sports Page. We begin with some news from the world of high school hoops as the state playoffs will continue tonight. And two Prince George's County teams in Flowers and CMIT North High School will be competing in the semifinals. CMIT North will take the court at 5:30 against the Seed School, while Flowers will face off against Montgomery County's Walt Whitman High School at 6:30. And tune into CTV Sports tomorrow because I have some highlights for you. Meanwhile, congratulations to Terps first baseman Ryan Costello on being named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. This comes after the New Jersey native recorded 3 homers, 6 RBIs, and 6 runs across 4 games in the week. Costello also leads the team in home runs on the season with 9 and RBIs with 27. And sticking with news out of College Park, the men's basketball squad took the court at 5 o'clock against Oregon for the first round of the Big Ten tournament. The Ducks had won 2 straight games against the Terps going into the matchup. This is the first Big Ten tournament meeting between the two teams. In other news, my Washington Commanders made a couple moves with free agency beginning. The first was agreeing to a 2-year, $60 million contract extension with veteran left tackle Laramie Tunsil. This comes after the 5-time Pro Bowler only had 1 year remaining on his previous deal before coming into the offseason. With an average salary of $30 million with the extension, Tunsil is now the highest paid offensive tackle. Washington also addressed their pass rush need with the signing of Odafe Owe to a 4-year, $100 million deal. The 27-year-old was previously with the Los Angeles Chargers before making the move to D.C., and in 12 regular season games with the Bolts, Owe recorded a solid 7.5 sacks. Owe's 17.5 sacks since 2024 ranks top 20 in the league. And lastly, Washington addressed their back end as well, signing cornerback Amik Robertson to a 2-year, $16 million deal. Robertson spent the last 2 seasons with the Detroit Lions before coming to Washington, and this past season in the Motor City, Robertson started in 10 of 17 games and recorded 52 tackles, 12 passes defended, and a pick. And moving on to the NHL, the Washington Capitals snapped their losing streak with a win against the Calgary Flames last night, winning 7-3. Washington is now 32, 26, and 7, and will take the ice next versus the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow at 7:30. And that is your Tuesday Sports Page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, Simon, thanks so much. Let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be mostly clear out. Tomorrow, the record warm-up continues. We're going to reach a high of 80 degrees, but we have a chance of showers and thunderstorms after 2 p.m. Thursday, more showers are on the way. Temps will drop to 57 degrees, and it's going to be very windy with gusts of up to 32 miles per hour. Friday will be mostly sunny with a high of 54 and a low of 42.
And for our community calendar, this Thursday, the Surratt Historic Site and Museum is hosting Untold Stories Beyond the Battlefield, a Civil War lecture series. Learn how women from the area participated in the Civil War and the events leading up to it. This event takes place from noon to 1 p.m. and for more information or to visit, you can go to pgparks.com.
All right, that's all the time we have here for CTV News. Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.
Standing for the cause of liberty is as old as our country itself.
It is the American story, a story of fallible people, united across the generations by grand and enduring ideals.
The time has come to reaffirm our enduring spirit, to carry forward that promise that all are equal and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness.